Welcome back to Claw Combos. Today we're talking to Vance Kaloz, a fishing guide, e-commerce seller, and podcast host. We were super interested in his entrepreneurial venture being so in line with his passions and how he was able to turn his passions into a lifelong career. Hey guys, this is Sheila and Maya Dunn, and you're listening to Claw Combos.
Welcome, Vance. Could you?
Are we live? We're recording. Oh my!
We're
Edit
live.
that out.
We're live.
Okay, sorry. I'm ready.
No, all good. Well, I just wanted to introduce Vance to Claw Combos, and we're really excited for this episode. Wanted to just give you a chance to first just kind of fill us in on what you've been doing the past couple of years with Muskie Creek fishing guides and Fat AZ.
Yeah, it's the fishing industry. Not many people know what that is. It's Muddy Creek Fishing Guides, but I'm fishing for muskies. So you were like this far off. It's okay.
I just even checked.
Yeah, it's all good. But my name's Vance Kaloz. I live in the northwest part of Pennsylvania, and I run two businesses and have some partners in that. And it is a fishing service, but we also cater to the fishermen as well by having a product line. So it's very organic in that sense. We make our own baits to catch the fish in simple terms. And the fishing industry is $1 billion industry, multi-billion. It's something that people don't really think of as a career, if you will, and much less of being a lucrative career. But the fishing that I do is such a niche; it's very powerful. So I have the ability to be able to kind of cover the market with actually being on the water for 9 months out of the year, and then when I'm off the water, I'm making baits, if you will.
Yeah.
Awesome. And how did you get started with the entrepreneurial side of things? And like kind of what was your, I guess, life looking like before you started actually like running these companies?
Got you. So, I grew up as a kid. I forget how old you guys are, but like maybe your age. What are you, 11 and 12 now, something like that? God, I remember, it was like it felt like a couple years ago I was taking you guys on amusement park rides that the other crews were too scared to go on. So, but I mean, being an entrepreneur, I started working when I was about 11 years old. And my parents essentially kicked me out of the house on the weekends to go and push produce with a family friend. People that they obviously trust. Were they instilling a work ethic with me at that point? I doubt it. They probably just wanted me out of the house and wanted a couple days for themselves. But I just started working all the time, and that was just a hustle job. I mean, I was selling produce, iceberg lettuce, buck ahead, screaming this stuff, little kid, and then just from there, I had a bunch of odd jobs, working in restaurants and things like that. And, when you're a certain age, there's an American way that's kind of beat into your brain that says, you got to go to school, get good grades, go to college, build a house, have a family, and, get a job essentially. And so having said that, I was on that path of kind of being the American standard. But I always had a vision of doing something else. Now, you're 18 years old, and I think the schooling system's just like a bit screwed up because you're supposed to know what you want to do when you're 16 to 18 years old. It's just a bit ridiculous in my opinion. I mean, how the hell are you supposed to know what you want to do at that age? Yeah. But I picked nursing. And the reason I picked nursing was because There was a family nursing history I knew that the shifts were nice, so if I had to work 2 or 3 12s or whatever it was, I would have 4 days off for the rest of the week. So I could always do something else with that time, if I'm only working 3 days out of the week. And that was my kind of goal while I was feeling out what I really wanted to do. So I went to nursing school, graduated, and hated it. But I graduated, so it was cool. That's what I first started out prior to being an entrepreneur, if you will.
Yeah. Do you think you've always had a little more appetite for risk? Because you brought up even the roller coaster example when we did that when we were like 11 and 12.
I mean,
minor example, but
here's the thing. I have an appetite to prove people wrong or go when somebody tells me something to do. I never take that well. I do not take direction well. Even if it's from my parents or anything like that. If they say, "Hey, you got to do this," I'm like, "Nah, dude. Like, that's not me. I'm not going to do it." So risk. Yeah. Was it a risk to do what I did? I essentially left a career nursing and started something on my own. And built my own brand, if you will. And, I just said, the hell with this. I'm out. I'm not doing it. I'm miserable. I don't like it. I'm not passionate about it. There's a ceiling to it. I do not like that at all. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to essentially sell myself and work my tail off to get to where I was today. So that's what you got to do. And, mm-hmm. When you're an entrepreneur, and I don't even like to be considered that, to be quite honest with you. I just, it's just kind of who I am. You work, and when you work and surround yourself with good people, good things happen. So, when you're an entrepreneur, you can't listen to other people. You can't listen to even what I'm saying on this podcast. There's something that's got to go off in your head, that makes you want to break the shell and do something different. It's like people could tell you to do all these things all the time, but you have your aha moment on your own.
Mm-hmm. So do you think, kind of in rebuttal to that, do you think that you have to be born as like an entrepreneur or with the characteristics of an entrepreneur, or is it something you can learn?
Man, that's a tough question. And even when I was in college, they were just starting this entrepreneur degree, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, hey, like, how do you teach somebody to do that? Mm-hmm. You have to be, if you're going to go out and do something on your own, like Yins are doing, you have to be the absolute hardest working person you've ever met in your entire life. Be the hardest worker in the room, look in the mirror, know that you're the best, and then just hit the ground running with it. That's the attitude that you have to have every day that you wake up, and you're doing this on your own, because if you fail, it's all on you. So mm-hmm. You have to be extremely hardworking and smart at it. People always say work, smarter, not harder. You got to do both. You got to work your mm-hmm. ass off, and you got to grind your ass off until there is no more. You just got to keep going with it, and you got to just push everything away. If like I said, if somebody taught me how to be an entrepreneur, I wouldn't take anything in, because I don't take direction well. I would say, the hell with you. I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to do it my own way, and I'm going to outwork you. So see ya. Mm-hmm. When I'm at the top, I'll see you down there looking at you down on the mountain. So that's kind of how you got to be. I like, if you could, like, can you teach a killer instinct? I don't know. Maybe people go to 4 years of schooling. I think that's kind of a scam in its way. They get you to go to school to be an entrepreneur, and then they're like, okay, kids, good luck.
Right.
You have to have it.
You're not gonna learn the same from when you do it yourself. You just never will until you actually do it, until you start a company, until you're doing it. The school's not really gonna teach you those things and get you there.
Absolutely. I remember looking back in school and there was this like, big open hall or whatever, a rec hall. And these kids were going to school for business. And there's like 300 of them in this little tiny room. They're all at white tables in an eating session, like dining. And they're teaching them how to talk to people while they're having dinner. Like which fork to grab first, how to close the deal, ABC, all this BS. And I'm like looking down at these people like, what? Like, how you can't teach people that way. I mean, like if you don't know how to talk to somebody at a meal and you can't be yourself,
yeah,
you're out. Like forget you. You're way down here. You're out of it. Switch majors.
Wow, that's
unbelievable.
Oh yeah. So I had like all these light bulbs going off when I was in college. I knew I was on a different path to do something different. And there's just, there is no ceiling on this. I can do as much as I want. I can do as little as I want. So
how did you get started? And then did you have like pivots? Did you, learn as you go? Was it just like?
Oh, it was learn as you go, because it's an investment at first, everything's always an investment at first. When I was a nurse and I had those extra 4 days off, I was trying to, build furniture and maybe open up a furniture shop and something like that. And that kind of just turned into a hobby, if you will, when you're doing your taxes. And then I knew that I really loved this fishing, but this was when you get into fishing, like I said, it's $1 billion industry. And climbing, you got to buy boats, you got to buy gears, you got to buy everything. And then that's a huge investment to initially get into. And so I would say that was a huge pivot point. You got your parents going, job, house, marriage, kids, all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I just bought a boat, and they're like, you're disowned. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, I'm going fishing. Like, see ya, peace. But so I bought a boat, and that was tough. I would say that was like the most tough that I've had in the business was like, not that I even care, but just like getting the approval from your parents. You know that like line where I'm not mad, I'm disappointed thing. It's like the worst thing that you could hear. I was just like, man, this sucks. So like I was a bit motivated from that. I was like, just watch what happens if I do this. You know what I'm saying? So that was a big, just low time in my life, because it was not pleasant at all by any means. I mean, hey, I'm going to be a charter captain and make fishing lures. People were like, what is that? People listening to this, they have no idea what it is. I mean, it's, and we make things like this by hand, sell them, boop, little lures like that. And that's for muskies. And I don't know. It's kind of like that was my lowest moment, was initially starting. I had a mountain to climb, but I was ready to put in the work. Like I said, you have to be the hardest worker, and you can never stop that. You can never think that there is somebody that can't surpass you when you're on your own and in a very competitive industry like fishing is. People want to go out with the best. They want to catch these fish. You have to prove to them that you are the best. You're putting, they're paying you to take them out and hammer these fish. So that's just that was the attitude. Bought my boat, real pissed off, dark family moments. Not many people enjoying that in my family. And then it was literally, you got to go out on the water and you got to practice. It's like golf. There's a lot of people that are like, I golf or I fish, or I golf and I hunt, and things like that. And there's a lot of business deals that happen on the golf course and on my boat and things like that. It's really bizarre, but you got to practice every day, especially with this fish. It is it is by far the most difficult fish to catch, bar none. It is, and that's what attracts me to it. So, anybody can go out and catch a bass or a trout or a bluegill or whatever it is, but these things are difficult. So that's what attracted me to it. It's so stupid. It's fishing, but it's a real business,
Yeah.
Have you ever let your guard down since that first moment?
No, No, I'm completely obsessed. And growing the business, let's say I've been guiding for, close to 8 years now. And, I'm sorry, wait, like 8 years guiding, close to 10 years on the baits, with the baits. So it, man, that just time flies. You can't let your guard down. If you want to be the best, you can never let your guard down. And that's just how it is. You have to have that working mentality. If you're sleeping, somebody else is working. That's what I always think. So the practicing and with the fishing, being on the water, it gives me the confidence that I'm doing something correct, and I'm teaching people every day that I have them in my boat on how to do these things. I write articles, I write books on musky fish and all this crazy, stupid stuff. You can't really, like I said, you can't get it down if you're just reading stuff. You got to be in the field doing it. So that's what, my specialty is there. But no guard down. You cannot let your guard down ever. You always have to outwork the next person. And that's the mentality that any entrepreneur should have. If you suck in general, just try to outwork somebody. At least learn that in entrepreneur school or whatever the hell it is. You got to outwork.
One thing I found really interesting between like the furniture and then the fishing is it seems to come really naturally to you that you were able to turn what you were passionate about and just loved doing into something that could make you money. Was that always just like an obvious answer to you, or were you ever concerned with like, can I actually make fishing a job? Or were you never concerned?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. That goes through your head, and that was probably during that initial time, when I first bought my boat, like what am I going to do? How am I going to get my name out there? And it's a niche. Everybody knows one another in the industry. It's such a small but powerful niche to catch these things. So like, yeah, it was tough. But I knew that, like I said, I knew that I was going to outwork everybody on the water. And my name would be out there as the hardest working muskie fisherman, muskie guide, whatever it is in the industry. And that's where I'm at today. So it just came down to work and putting in the time. And you got to, like, when you get beat up about it or somebody else is, pissed at you because you didn't do the traditional, whatever kind of job, your parents are mad at you, you're whatever, you just got to block it out. You're still young. I was in my 20s, I'm 33 now. I was in my 20s taking a huge risk and it paid off. You can go and do these things, but you have to have your own aha moment, And when you put the work in, the money will follow eventually. It's not all about the money and all that stuff. You gotta be able to work and have a life as well, and have a good relationship with the people that matter to you the most. And it, of course, it came naturally to me because I enjoyed it. You're supposed to enjoy your job. These people are going to work 9 to 5. They don't like their jobs. They're miserable. And it's sickening. And I feel horrible for those people because I could have gone down that path as well. But you just have to have your aha moment.
Do you remember the first muskie you ever caught and how old you were?
Yeah, I do. I was like 7 and I caught it on a worm and a bobber.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in a little river in western Pennsylvania, and I just was fishing at that time. I had no idea what I was doing, and then probably like 15 years ago, I got really serious into it, and I went out one day and just said, I'm just going to fish for these things. You don't have that much. You don't have a boat in your name or anything at that point, so you kind of just got to pick and choose where you fish. But of course, I'm on Chautauqua Lake in western New York. It's a wonderful body of water for muskies, and that's where I grew up fishing. And so I just said, the heck with it. I'm going to go out and do this one day. I caught one and it was done. I'm thinking about them on the football field, in the classroom, at night. It just always musky fishing up here. And that's just the fishing side of it. We have a whole other business that sells these lures, and rod holders, all weird stuff, but people have no idea, the thing that holds your rod on a fishing charter, it's just whatever.
Do you think that's part of, we had a whole episode actually with our dad about niche and niche, or however you say it, but how narrow.
People say niche. Americans say niche.
Yeah.
Niche. Whatever. I say it's a niche, it's a real small thing.
Yeah. I think, I always wonder that, because with our marketing company, we have a lot of different verticals and different industries, but to be the best at a specific thing, I think goes a long way.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And it doesn't matter how small the niche is, as long as it's powerful. People are obsessive with the outdoors. So, there's just a huge market. You would never think of it. Who pays a guy to go fish? Who pays a guy to make musky baits and give them to him and things like that? Whatever. So it's as long as it's a powerful niche. If you can, make the best oven mitts ever, and it's a powerful niche, then go for it.
Yeah, for sure. I think sometimes it's even better to be in a niche than to be like so broad. It's going to be a lot harder to actually,
stand
conquer
out.
something. Yeah, for sure. So what's next? What's your big picture with the fishing guides and the selling of the lures?
What's next? It would be demand for our product. My days are booked up. You cannot go fishing with me this year. They're gone. They're all gone. They're generally filled up by the fall of the year prior. Every day is gone. And it literally is every day, Monday through Sunday fishing. Again, doesn't feel like work because I really enjoy it. But being booked up that way, with the lures, we're running into a problem where they're in such high demand that it's hard to keep up with production, because in the niche, we are making them by hands. So there is a lot of just levels that go into that. What we could do, we could sell it out. We could sell the company, or we could buy a mold that just sends the lure bodies to us and we paint them. But nobody wants that. They want the quality. So we have to continue what we're doing. Big picture, when that happens in business, you either sell out or you increase your prices. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at with our product. And there's only so many hours in the day. If we make 5,000 lures a year and they're gone, they're gone. So same with the rod holders, and that's it. So that's where I'm at. The big picture, I was always a person that lived day to day. What's going to happen today? How am I going to work today to continue what I'm doing? So there is no big picture for me. My big picture is just to continue to work as hard as I can and be the best. That's just should be an entrepreneur's mind.
That's awesome. And congratulations. Also, that sounds like, good problems to be having, and awesome to hear all the good that's happening. On the opposite side of that, I was going to say, is there a mistake or a funny, story of something stupid you did in your journey that you can think of right now?
You lose gear all the time. You'll have some damage, collateral damage, all that stuff, that happens on a day in the water, especially when you're musky fishing. Have
you ever flipped the boat with a...
No. I've never flipped a boat, and I've never had anybody fall out.
Okay.
But you do things when you're first learning how to fish. And I grew up fishing with my uncles and my father, and they're not great fishermen. So I just did the opposite of what they did, and I did real well. But, you can back a boat in and, it'll lift off that trailer, and then, I do it every day. It could get away from you. I've done that before, like right before starting a trip. I mean, if I didn't know the guy in the boat next to me, my boat would have been out to sea. So, I mean, it was like little things like that happen all the time. And then from the production aspect of it, it's just like, there's just some danger that comes in with, sanding baits and cutting the baits and working with the wood and things like that, where you could lose a finger or cut yourself if you're not on your P's and Q's. But,
Right.
If you name it, in fishing, I've probably broken it and definitely had to replace it. So.
What's the biggest muskie you've caught?
It was actually last year. We boated a 45 pounder on that little lake of Chautauqua, and it was 53 3/4 inches long and 45 pounds, officially weighed, officially measured, not a fishing story. Because there's just people that are like, I caught 100-inch muskies, and I'm like, well, you're on an enormous amount of drugs and have no idea what you're talking about. But, that's like where they live, in that 50-inch range plus, 60-inch is probably capping them out. But so that was the biggest one we caught.
Wow. And you've traveled all across the country, it seems. Have you fished there, or is it more just for fun and hike? Okay.
It's a goal. It's not even vacation, I mean, it looks like we're having fun, but it's one of those things where, me and my wife, we, we're fortunate enough. We both control our own schedules, and she's not working as much. And so when I say it's time to go, she goes and has a good time with it. But we're trying to bucket list all the national parks. We got married in a national park. We got about 10 left to do. And I mean, they are just grind them out trips. I mean, you're seeing so much in a couple days. And of course, I'm the one driving, and she's passed out in the passenger seat. But I love it, and we love that stuff. It's adrenaline driven, and again, a goal. Got to get it done. So,
what's the best one?
Oh man, we were thinking about that, but there's no time to reflect on it yet because it's not done. So I couldn't tell you. There's okay. I don't do much reflection in life at all. Maybe I'll think back to football occasionally and wish I was still playing, but I don't do much reflection. I just, again, next day, let's go. What's going to happen today? Up and go, do something. Let's work, or let's go somewhere. But I said, once we are all done, we'll have to get a pile of cards with all of them on there and just start narrowing them out.
Rate them, nice. Yeah.
1, 2, 3. I guess I could say the best one is the one we got married in. We got married up in Banff, Canada, and that's a gorgeous place. It's just special because we tied the knot there. But I don't know, man. They're just all so unique, and that's what is really, they're just beautiful places. The best thing America has to offer.
What do you think motivates you to want to be the best muskie fisher in the world and see all these national parks? Is there something that motivates you aside from money?
Well, yeah, I mean, the money is good, of course. We live a very comfortable lifestyle, but we work for it. But the thing that motivates me the most is my wife, no doubt, bar none. Met her, fell in love with her the day we started, talking. She believed in me, one of the only. And, I took her on this wild journey, and she believed in me. And so I owe everything to her, and she motivates me every day to, keep a roof over our head and make sure that she's has a low stress level, and she's taken care of. So it comes down to family. I'm motivated by family in my relationship, and I work hard at everything. But the hardest thing I always work at is the relationship with my wife. It's very important to do because when you are an entrepreneur, or whatever you want to call me. You can just look at the money, and just be motivated by money. It's just driven into your head to, as soon as you can walk, money, 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 money. You can lose sight of, having a family, and, lose sight in feeling what a real relationship is. So you can't short yourself on that at all, because the relationship with the people that are close to you is much more lucrative in my opinion. Yeah, the money's nice and all that stuff, and we're good, but our relationship is the best.
Do you ever think you worked too hard in the past 10 years, you said, since starting the...
I mean, some days I feel like I'm a zombie, yeah, but no, I don't. I don't think that I don't feel like my gas tank is empty at all, so it would take a major life change for me to stop doing what I'm doing, because like I said, once you have that aha moment, you really do not lose it. So it's good that I'm in something competitive, that keeps me driven, and it's good that I have a strong home relationship that is the most motivating thing. And I'll work till I'm dead to make sure my family is good.
So how does switching gears a little, when did you start your podcast?
Okay, so yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, like I always said, and this was back like when I was probably your guys' age, I was 5 beers ahead of friends and 5 years ahead of trends. And so, I mean, that's not something, like the first thing's not something to be very happy about, but the trend thing was interesting. We started this podcast about muskies fishing again, something stupid. 2014, Fat AZ Muskie podcast. That's what we called it. Hit record one day and just started talking, and the first episode was really tough because we were like, well, we got to introduce ourselves to people. But like the three of us, and there's 3 partners in the bait company, and the 3 of us are like, well, we already know each other. What are we gonna? I'm not going to tell you my story again. You already know what,
Yeah.
So like we're sitting there like stumbling. And then we came back on round 2 and we were just like, we're just going to do everything live. Nothing's edited. We just talk BS, and it's a hangout. It's not so much of a how-to and this is how you got to do it. It's more of a reality, like a realistic, just hangout stories, some tips and tricks and things like that. But we have other big names in the industry that come on. And, of course, when you have a lot of listeners, there's a lot of advertisement, sponsorships and things like that. So we're just sitting there talking, and then all of a sudden this thing blowing up, and we got people overseas that are listening to us, and we're just like, holy hell, what are our analytics? And we're looking at our analytics. I'm like, this is how many people listen to us every week. I'm like, this is freaking crazy. I can't believe it. I've been in places all over, like all the way to California, and people have been like Muddy Creek, Vance. Like I'm like, what's up, dude? I'm like,
famous.
Who are you?
That's cool.
Who are you?
That's awesome.
But so we started it. It was just an idea, and it was the first muskie podcast, and it was only exclusive to muskies. Now there's a couple, but we helped set those guys up. And it was just we did do it weekly, and you can never stop telling fishing stories. That's apparently we've proven that. So it's been like 7 years almost of doing a freaking podcast every week. I mean, that sometimes it gets like I'm just like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. What am I gonna say today?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just something small started, and then now it's on all the platforms, and it's advertised in magazines, and we advertise for people, and it just that's how it goes. Podcasts started getting huge, and we were like, there's nothing on muskie fishing outdoors, so let's do it. And They're probably like an hour each. Some a little bit better than that, you know, a little bit longer, but yeah, crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sheila and I kind of had the same. We've only done that. We've been doing this since October, and our first time recording, we were like, how do we do this? This is so unnatural. Like we're not good on camera. It was definitely a learning curve. But that was kind of one of my favorite parts about this is just actually learning some new skills. So it's been really fun.
And you have a much more comfortable setup too, with where you're at. When we first started the podcast, it was like iPhone in the middle of a boat.
Oh,
and like,
wow.
So in like the boat's in the garage, and my business partner would stand on the gunnel. It's called the gunnel, on the side of the boat, and I would be in the boat in any way I would feel comfortable, laying down, belly down, whatever. And usually, like, we were assembling our lures that needed shipped out. So I'm like surrounded by hooks and things like that. And there's been like times where I've like put my elbow down and then like came back up and the hook's attached to me and I'm just like still on the air, like, oops. Oh, you guys aren't going to believe it. I have a hook in my elbow right now.
How do you think, because you guys, it seems it's what you said, it's just like a hangout, like just
maybe listen to a bit.
Yeah, like I feel like that's what people are looking for. Just so natural.
Super genuine, natural.
That's what always rises. When you're an honest person and put in honest work, people are going to cling to that. They're going to be able to relate. So that's what you should strive for in something like this. You can't be fake. I can't walk in here and, talk about, like I just closed a deal with Paris and London, and people were just like, what the hell who is this schmuck? He's a schmuck. But if you're natural, people will relate to that and they'll be like, okay, yeah, these people are cool. I feel like I'm there with them. I'm in the room. I can relate to this stuff. Again, I don't take direction well, so I'm not going to tell anybody how to do it. I can tell you a story.
Right.
Maybe you take something from it, but I'm not going to say this is how you do it. You got to invest in this and you got to do all, that's not how it goes.
Out of curiosity, how did the fishing industry, or how was the fishing industry impacted by COVID? Because I kind of imagine that people would be fishing more maybe now, or did you see any trend?
So at first I was really nervous about not being able to do what I wanted to do, essentially. Everything was closed, whatever, small businesses, they just put the handcuffs on you. So that was a little nerve-wracking, but everybody still wanted to go fishing. And again, I was booked up, but I was like, what am I going to do here? Am I going to listen to these rules, or am I just going to be like the person that says, you're not taking away my right to earn a living in America, get the hell out of here. I'm going to still take people out fishing. It was weird, especially because you were allowed to fish. You were allowed to go out and you were socially distanced. Like all three of us could go fishing right now. But if you paid me to take you out fishing, then it was a no-no. So it was really bizarre. There was that stipulation in it, but that eventually all got lifted and you were allowed to take people out. And I was as busy as I always would be. But there were a lot more people on the water because they had nothing to do. So at points, like there was just like, it'd be a Monday through Friday is usually like no one's there on the water. It's really beautiful, nice. People were like, oh, this is like Canada. And then it turned into like, you're fishing and then here comes like, Johnny's surfboard in one of those wake boats and he just like wipes you out on the water and you're just like, okay, great. That's like while pounding techno music like in the middle of a Wednesday and you're just like, okay, great. I get it. But the outdoor industry like has just shot up insanely. The people can't keep up with demands. My new boat is coming in. It was supposed to be here yesterday. It's a day late and I'm like ready to pull my hair out, because I need my boat. So if anything, outdoor industry, COVID shot it up, no doubt. You couldn't get a bike. You couldn't get anything. I mean, it was just crazy. People were outside, which was good. You're supposed to be outside as a human. You know?
And then more on the like tips and advice, we found that most of our listeners are like high school, college age. Would you have tips for someone who might have a passion or want to start a business but hasn't taken the jump yet?
Yeah. You got to believe in yourself. Again, you got to have your aha moment. You have to know that you're the hardest worker in the room and you cannot listen to anybody else. And you have to be tunnel vision to your goal, what you want to be. If it's the best pizza flipper, if it's a doctor or whatever, you have to be driven to be the best. You want whatever it is. So that's what that's my biggest advice is you have to outwork everybody. There is no the work hard, like work smarter, not harder. That's an excuse. It's always work hard. Those people are going to they're gonna get you. The harder workers are gonna find a way to outsmart you in a way that you would never see coming. So you always have to work hard. Once you have your aha moment and you believe in yourself, surround yourself with like-minded people and it will grow.
Right.
And that's it. So believe in yourself. Once you do that, like-minded people. Got to be like-minded people. You got to be really, and that comes down to the work. You got to put that work in to have the ability to, assess if this person that you're going to bring into your life fits, or if they're going to be, like a backstabber. You got to be able to work hard to assess these people if they're going to be in your little circle. Do they believe in you? Do they got their eye on the prize? Are you all working towards the same goal? So go for it. You're a young high school kid, something like that. You got to go for it. You can't just go to, the job fair in the gymnasium and say, yeah, that's what I'm going to be one day.
Yeah. So my only one other thing I was going to add is, it's funny, Maya, you asked about the tips because we kind of talked about, the advice really has to come from yourself and like you have to give motivation. But I like what you said, Vance, and I think, do you have any stories that kind of might demonstrate like that hard work or like startup scrappy hustle stories, anything like that of early business? Or
like I said, I don't reflect much, but I mean, I don't know. I don't reflect much, and I don't like take compliments well because I'm still just in that zone. So my story is still being written every day. That's how I feel about it. Like, I don't know, when I was like building tables and, trying to figure out where I wanted to go and making little wood things, for some spare cash, I would drive out into the, middle of BFE and be knocking on these people's houses to try and get their barnwood. That was another thing. Barnwood is like, you watch HGTV now and everybody's got barnwood and all this stuff BS. And I mean, I've been doing crap like that since I was like 20. And then all of a sudden that shoots like way up, and so I'm knocking on people's doors like, hey, can I have your barnwood? And, they're sitting there with like a shotgun, like, no one's knocked on our door in 10 years. What are you doing here, youngster? Yeah. I'm like, can I give you $1,000 to fill up my truck with wood, please? And they're like, no, get the hell off my lawn, essentially. But, those are, stick them out, grind them out stories,
Yeah. Awesome.
This question, I just, out of complete curiosity and completely irrelevant to what we've just been talking about, but what do you think about like crypto and Bitcoin, if you have any thoughts on it?
Well, I think if you got into it early, you're doing pretty good right now. I got a couple chips myself. I thought it was a little ridiculous, but I definitely it worked out in the long run, and I could see us moving to that as a form of currency. And if anything, this pandemic has just destroyed the dollar. So it's trending that way, and everybody thought it was weird and never going to happen, but it's kind of trending that way. So I think I'm not, in our lifetime, yeah, it's going to happen.
Super random. We had written a list of like rapid fire questions, and that was one of them. So I was just like, oh, ask for curiosity.
Yeah.
But awesome. Okay, well, we're just out of time now, but thank you so much for doing this with us. It was great to catch up and just learn more about what you're doing. It sounds like really great things. So congrats
Good
again
seeing
on
you,
that.
girls. Happy that you're doing the same thing as well and following your passion. And it's fun to see what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Say hi to Lori for us, and hopefully we could catch up soon in person. That would be great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.